All right. And we are live. So this one here. This one right here. Ellen Chamberlain is the most compassionate yet real, accountability, gentle, love, but I'm going to challenge you to be the best version of
Cause
yourself.
the giggle, friend.
Friend. Oh my goodness, friend. I love you,
Thank you for
friend.
having me. I love you back.
Yes.
Lots and lots.
Yes. Yes. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. You already got hearts and hands up. Look at Ellen out here in these streets, like
Hi, yay. I'm on sabbatical for from social media. So hello to the world because I haven't
okay.
seen y'all in a minute. But we're
I,
coming
I
back together.
totally I totally get it. But you got the you got heart and hand emojis.
Hi hearts, hi
So
hands.
what up, Rocky? So Rocky's reality.
Rocky.
Rocky's on,
What
yes.
up, Rocky?
Let's go. Let's get in here
Rocky's
and
freaking legend, yo.
yeah, she out here in the streets. I mean, highest rated show like on Motors. Let me just saying, like holding the title, holding it down.
Cause black girls.
Cause black girls.
Just saying.
Yeah, we are indeed magic,
Indeed. But
indeed,
real.
but very real, practical. So speaking of real and
I see
practical,
what you did there. I see that. People didn't catch that, but I saw.
of course you did, friend, because you got the eyes and the ears. When it comes to words are what you do. A wordsmith would be an understatement about what it is that you do. But I just
Thank
want
you.
to jump into some of the things that we were talking about behind stage about the importance of hiring
Mhm.
Black copywriters, content creators for your business because we see the stock photos, and I guess you want to look like yes, we are welcoming. But if our image and our word are exactly matching up,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So just go ahead, jump in, friend.
so I guess we should start by saying that, like, budget is budget, right? So, all things aside, take all these things with a grain of salt because, everybody isn't working with thousands and thousands of dollars to do everything they have to do. So in terms of like stock imagery that we were discussing earlier, if that's the route you got to take, that's the route you got to take. But be thorough and diligent in looking. I would say hire local. That matters. The way that you
Mm-hmm.
invest in your community shows up. Just in if I see your imagery on Instagram, I could tell that somebody took that picture or that you bought it on, stockimage.net. Like I can tell the difference. And then what does it say if you hired a local photographer, a local photography student? Like Detroit is full. And I know that your clientele extends way beyond our city,
Mm-hmm.
but still, just even with our town, there are so many art students here. You better go find someone who works within your budget because then there are also some very notable artists here too, and they're folks that you can connect with, and then you end up cross branding, and next thing you know, just by being authentic and trying to reach into the community that you're actually trying to get those dollars from and extract money from, it works out because now you're working within the community and not just, I guess, kind of coming in to see transactionally what can we make happen.
I love that you're talking about like not just transactional because I would I want to even bring it down even more about time and budget. And while yes, you may not have time or budget, but if Queen Bee has time to go through Instagram to find and recruit talent to shoot
She does do
said,
that. She does
okay.
do that.
If Tyra, who most recently redid her swimsuit edition for Sports Illustrated, she was diligent. She found a Black photographer.
Of course
I
she
would
did.
okay, and let's even just say for a lark, her handlers did the research, right? It's the intention.
Mhm.
There was an intention there of making sure that the hiring process was deliberate. And when we talk about the opportunities, and this is why joining this course, the opportunities are not always there. So you, the business owner, the leader, has to go out and create said
Oh my
opportunities.
God. Because that's one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur. Because I mean, like, you could probably get a blog or a book or a podcast all day long to talk about all the things that suck. Like, it's hard being your own boss. But one of the really dope things that I see you guys doing, is is creating opportunity. And maybe you have a storefront and maybe you're not in the space where you can hire somebody else to work the register. You're doing all the things. But then who are you collaborating with on your social media? Who are you working with to make sure that local media, local press, because the press is your friend, who are you working with to make sure that your local papers know about you? Everybody's got a podcast. Why aren't they talking about you? And those conversations just come at really in intentional moments and from intentional places, and just asking questions kindly, but with some research behind them that goes into intentionality. If you come to somebody and you show that you've done your research, they're probably a little bit more apt to help, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. And like Rocky said, relationships are currency. And as an entrepreneur, like, listen.
Heard.
Okay. And Meg just popped on. Hey, Meg. So, she was
Yay,
yeah, you remember Meg?
Meg, I'm so confused. Meg, I thought we were all here tonight, girl. Hey.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, I also want to get into this piece too, because I think that especially in our digital age, and there's a lot of things that are passing and information just does run so quickly. Let's talk about taxing our Black friend with informing us with maybe the realization, because I do see that there are a lot of well-meaning white folks out here picking up the books and they're reading. And then once they now know this thing, it's like every 5 minutes, it's kind of like that person that, gets saved and they become born again. And it's like, it's this zealousness. And I get it.
Such a great comparison.
Right.
Baby Christians. Yes.
Yeah. Their souls. And it's like every 5 minutes. Right.
Yeah.
Let's unpack some ways to be allies, for sure. But in a way that is not taxing to the folk in color that we're attempting and endeavoring into alleviating the emotional taxes and stress,
right,
and oppression.
Right. It's like you can't cause the problem as you try to solve it. That's hard. But yeah, I mean, first of all, anybody who wants to learn and is interested in learning, kudos to you right there. And then, another rah-rah for you if you went a step further and actually picked up a book, or listened to a podcast, or started engaging with people outside your regular circle. But when it comes to, I guess, being careful to tax the Black friends that I hope you have in your circle, like Brenda and I were discussing earlier, checking in to me is so important. I appreciate my friends of every color who know that they want to discuss something weighty, and before they even go into it, it's like, well, hey girl, hey, how are you? What space are you in right now? Set it up for me. Don't just hit me with, so slavery. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And especially and I'm gonna mess up the quote and who it's by. I believe it was Baldwin, but basically it's to
he is perfect in every way. James Baldwin is perfect in every way.
But the woke person, as we would say today, but the awakened Negro, to be awake is to constantly be angry because you see it all. And you see it for what it is. So, especially if you're talking to somebody who's already kind of into what's going on, that's a delicate conversation, yo. That's a hard conversation to have. So step into it, understanding already that you don't know the answers. That's why you came. And that the answers that you receive don't have to be packaged the way that you wanted to receive them. That's not the point of asking the question. The point of asking the question was to receive the answer, not to have your hand held, not to be assuaged of any guilt that you feel. Exactly. Right. That is for your therapist and for your spiritual leader. Your Black friends are there to give you whatever knowledge that you've asked for. But if they are not your best bosom buddy, your therapist or your spiritual leader, it's not then their job to to fix whatever you feel is then broken as a result of the knowledge that you've gained. Like, congrats on the knowledge. Now do the work. And the work is on you to do.
That's right. That's right. And I see this a lot too, is that, especially in the social media space, and I am all for like taking the sabbaticals, because sometimes, sis, I can't, like, I have to do it in smaller dosages. Is, also what I see is this shame, right? Like, so when you find out what your ancestors, like really what your ancestors did, the shame comes over. Oh, I'm ashamed to be white. I can't believe that this has happened. Or in some cases, you may have biracial children who are, if they are have a Black parent, they are Black. If they have a Latino parent, they are. We have to.
I mean, one drop rule is still pretty much in effect, even though we don't call it that.
And so I know somebody gonna ask, "Oh, what's the one drop rule?" So if we could just
Google it.
That's what we're talking about there, right? About not taxing. So one drop rule. So there are these nuanced, right? It's very, very nuanced. And so when we say things like blackface, digital blackface, or one drop rule, this is where the rubber hits the pavement. I don't know what that is. Let me go look that up. And as I'm processing my shame and my guilt, because, we are human, we carry these things. What is the safest way for me to unpack this and use the P word, which is privilege?
That one hurts, doesn't it?
That one doesn't seem to give us. I'm privileged. How do you respectfully use your privilege?
Some folks are receiving being called privileged the way folks receive being called racist. And they're not the same.
Oh, they're not the same. They're not the same, sis. They're not the same.
They're not the same. The great Crystal, what's your last name? Is it Crystal West? From The Read said, words mean things. And they do. It doesn't really matter if you always say that, this right here is purple. I don't care if you call this purple, because the definition of purple is not that. So, like, words mean things. So I think that when folks look things up, it's maybe sometimes that can sometimes include going a step further. And that includes looking up the definition of a word that's in the definition of something that you're looking for. Like, I think that we've kind of lost that art of just like learning how to seek knowledge. Like, if Siri didn't say it, it's like, oh, there's no answer
Alexa,
to that question.
Like, I love, in another life, like I tutor, I teach Spanish. And so what I'll hear a lot of time from my students is, well, I put it in Google Translate, and then they give me something back because I'm reading it, right? And I'm like, where do you like well, Google Translate said, and I'm like, okay, first of all, Google Translate is not giving you context.
Yes.
So that's.
Are we Mexican? Are we Portuguese? Are we Spanish? What region of Spain?
all of the things, right? All of the things. So I'm sitting here looking at this horrible, I'm like, you Googled this. How did you know? Well, kind of old school, raised with books, flashcards, things of that nature. Just a few things. But also
leaving the country with your dictionary so you could figure out how to say things.
And having a teacher, like a live body, who's had a lived experience to tell me, to show me because what I love, and this is racism or anti-racism work is a bit, again, to translation, because it's all in context and interpretation and historics.
Absolutely.
And what is said to one.
But how many of us understand history? How many of us know history?
Come on, sis.
And then if you know history, do you understand that history? Like, I freaking love history. It's so much fun because I'm always learning something new. Like, I'm a never know it all, ever. It's great.
Always. And though I've been Black for 40 years, there's still things that I'm unpacking. And
you did do that this year.
I did do that this year. Still learning and still understanding or revisiting now with my 40-year-old brain was not the same as my 16-year-old or 12. And it's like, wow, every time I watch a special on the transatlantic slave trade, I always learn something new. And my parents were like, well, shout out to our parents. we're super woke. We grew up with Black Jesus.
Come on, Black everything, Black
Everything.
Santa, Black angels. Like my partner out here looking at me like, you want a what? How you gonna get a Black Santa? Girl, what do you
Like
mean?
this.
How do you get a Black Santa?
Right. How that you?
How do you not?
Oh, and I love this one. In which history do you believe? So yeah, so you have to have filters.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have filters, and that's what I love about
And a
empaths.
willingness to take in information from many different sources and then filter that down.
That's right.
And if you're taking in everything from one point of view, what have you learned?
What have we learned? Because I love the eternal battle between Booker T and WEB. Let's talk about it. I feel like they just still duking it out.
in my very spirit. So this one I won't make people Google because this one can get kind of convoluted, and I want my definition of it on it anyway. So when you're looking at Black thought, and not the rapper, Google that. When you're looking at Black schools of thought and philosophy and the ideas of what would build the Black community at the turn of the last century, there are many voices that were very popular, but two that kind of rose to the top: Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois. Yes, it looks French. It looks like Dubois. We don't say Dubois because that Black man pronounced his name as Du Bois. So we honor him and we pronounce his name the way he pronounced it. It doesn't matter how sedity you want to be. At any rate, so Booker T. Washington went on to found the Tuskegee Institute, Tuskegee University, and Tuskegee, Alabama. And W.B. Du Bois was the founder of the Crisis magazine, which is still in operation today, one of the founders of NAACP. And so these two men had very different schools of thought in terms of what would elevate the Black race as we were really just coming out of Reconstruction. And so the Washington theory is bootstraps, and it's manual labor, it's agriculture. We already were farming people, forced, most of us. But even, before that, and for some of us, it was already in our DNA. All of us were not kings and queens. Some of us are goat herders. So, like some of us we had that in us, So Booker T. Washington says, let's stick with this path. We're already on this. We already know what we're doing. And this is how we'll build wealth in this country. But W.E.B. Du Bois said what they've held back from us has been education. So education is going to be the way to move us forward. And even today, what are we now, 100? Wow, we're really about 100 years removed from those conversations, but people are still arguing like what's going to move the Black race forward. And I think at this point, because America's so diverse, everything does. And that's where people like you who'd be signing up for Brahenda's course come in. Be you a bee farmer, or beekeeper, and you're in agriculture, or if you are in the media space or whatever you're doing, you have an opportunity to work with Black people. And what you have to understand is that each Black person that you work with then touches that Black community. Mm-hmm. So that is, I guess, spreading your roots in directions that would probably be beneficial to you overall, because now you're kind of moving out of that little bubble that you started off in. And you'd be shocked at what you learn when you start talking to folks who don't look like you. They're kind of cool.
And I hear that a lot too, is that our coolness is never in question, right?
Oh my God, it's such a commodity. It's worth so much money.
It's never.
We're not worth that much money.
Right. And so that's where the problem is. And this is why I think it's so important, Ellen, that you're on this journey with us and on the journey with the women who are signing up for this course, because you need to sign up for this course.
Yes, please.
And it is in the link of the description here. And I'll drop it in the comments as well so that you can sign up for this course. So since we're on, please tag a friend, share this video as Ellen and I are speaking, share this with your community, share this with your network as you're watching this, because what is it? They want our rhythm, but not our blues. And so when we see things, I don't even like really that K family.
Okay, I get it.
Right, you get it. I don't even want to. But when we see cornrows, right?
And who was it? Like Vogue or somebody was like, look at this new thing.
Right? Or the satin bonnet. as some sort, and the Bantu knot.
The $100 satin bond.
Yes, the $100, the Bantu knots, right? But it's like, while it's aesthetically pleasing, of course it is. I like to, of course it is. But at the same time, if I go into ye old job, I could be written up. I
Oh
could be
yes.
suspended from school. I have a repercussion for wearing hair that is natural and akin to me, but yet it's commodified, co-opted, and profitable over here, but I'm penalized for wearing something that is indigenous to me.
Right, because your blackness is only valuable when it's on another body. So that is the whole point, to reverse that type of mindset. It shouldn't be that way. At this point, like I subconsciously do this thing, which is terrible. I should really stop doing it. I should probably bring it up in therapy. But anytime I hear something that like came from us, like I know that what I'm hearing or what I'm seeing originate within the Black community. I just like do like a little cha-ching in my head, like reparations, like that should have. So I caught the fight last night. The fight was popping. So Tyson, oh man, the granddaddy fight. It was a good situation. And I'm listening to, yeah, it was cool.
Okay.
I was scared at first because as soon as Tyson took off his shirt, I was like, oh, sweet baby Jesus, he's gonna be okay. But he was phenomenal. Like, in fact, yeah, he was scary. So, but at any rate, the point is that there were several men commentating the fight. One of whom was white. I'm sorry, I'm not into boxing, guys. I don't do all the big sports, so I can't say his name. But he called out in the middle of the fight, boom, shakalaka. And I'm like, this is a white man well over 60. He just said, boom, shakalaka. You know, just like, we're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. And this is why, you know, again, taking this course, because it's also going to help you identify your blind spots. And I know that many of you,
because you shouldn't say boom shakalaka straight.
No, no. And it's great to have a pair of eyes like Ellen's to go over your work, your content, and especially, you know, sadly, we have not seen the last of Black bodies dropping behind police brutality. This is it's a tragedy. So when you don't wait till a crisis to have someone help you with your outward communication. Yeah. And this is just a Brenda thing. You know, I'm not a monolith, but I will say this. It's taxing to me and hurtful to see at the end of a post, we must do better.
Just do better. The action. Oh, I tell folks all the time, your words do matter. Words totally matter. Oh, but the action behind it matters so much more. Sometimes people are tired of hearing you. Like, and it's okay, budget where you can. If you can produce a video, you'd be shocked. It's a social media era. You don't need a 30 to 90 minute long documentary. You get together a 10-minute situation that you could pop on Instagram or shorter and show people who you are. You know, like that matters, especially if you're in the business of selling anything. Nobody cares what you're selling. I'm sorry. Like, is it knitwear? Is it shoes? Okay. Nobody cares. They care about you. They want to know who you are. They want to know about your story. They want to know why you do what you do, how it connects to them. And then that is how folks decide if they're going to support you with their hard-earned money. So like, you matter. That's why it matters to do the work on yourself. Your business matters, but your business is totally a reflection of you.
That part right there. That part right there. And it's not something that you can begin to do only in crisis. It's like meditation. It has to become a practice that you engage in every day. And I know, folks are tuning in and we're having, hey, Paula. Paula said, hey.
Hola.
We're having this conversation as if it's just black and white. But Ellen, let's talk a little bit, with the few minutes that we have remaining, let's talk about intersections.
Okay, so intersections, if we can, it's exactly what it sounds like, kiddos. Everybody has been in a vehicle, I hope, even if you don't know how to drive. So an intersection happens where two or more things meet. Yes. So you can look at me and probably tell that I'm Black. You can look at me and probably tell that I'm a woman. So I am where the intersection of race and gender meet in that way. What you can't probably tell is I'm gay. Hey, folks, hey. I don't do that very well these days. Never been a rainbow rocker, but one time for the kids. So, so I intersect in like a three-way kind of street, right? And then there are a whole bunch of intersections that we all have. You don't necessarily have to be a person of color to experience intersectionality. So, in that, I think that we have to also be careful about the way that we frame things, the way that we talk about things, because we often will speak about people as if they are just one thing. And if you are not one thing, my dear sweet human being, why would you expect your audience to be? That's very unfair. It's very short-sighted, and it's a little rude. So it's always a good idea. Yes, don't be rude. It's always a good idea to address the moments of intersectionality as you work through meeting your audience where they are. So like something I'm noticing a lot in the journalism world is, Kamala Harris is the first Black woman to win the vice presidency, the first Black woman. And she is, but she's also the first Indian woman, the first Jamaican woman, the first Caribbean American. So, like they're the first daughter of immigrants. So if you notice the headlines that are going deeper that way, that's not annoying. That's actually the right way to go. Because it is unfair to Kamala Harris, it's unfair to your readers, your viewers, whoever, to her just mama. Paint her, hello, mama, her whole maternal lineage, her ancestry.com, you're just saying does not matter because that's off that side of the family here. So, so when you're speaking to people, whoever they are, consider all the things that they are. And then when you do that market research and that comes back to you, you might be surprised in what is turning out to be the hook. It might not be going for Black girls the way that you thought it was. If that's who you're going for, it might be going for video game nerds because that's really the core and you didn't realize that. So intersectionality is super important because you want to look at all the things that somebody or that a group of people are.
All the things. And I think that attribution is also important. So shout out to Kimberly Crenshaw, who coined the phrase in the first place of intersectionality. And I think that that's super important, particularly for women who, sign up for this course, or I would say female identified, because women may not be necessarily the moniker that you carry, but female identified, white and white passing women. Why? Mm-hmm. Again, because we're centering the intersections that we all meet, and we're talking about not just identity, but we're also talking about power and privilege.
Yes. This is particularly important with the written word. When you're doing things in visual mediums, it's a little bit different, but in the written word, it's so important.
Yeah, because you don't have a second chance to go back. Well, what I meant to say was,
or what I'm not gonna call her out. Never mind.
Oh, yes, because yeah. Which brings us to the need to also have a PR team if you can afford one, because crisis management. Let's just talk about it.
Yes. Like Raquel Harris, Rocky, who was on earlier. I don't know if she's still on now.
Yep.
Rocky shouts out, like, Rocky will get your business together. And if she's busy and she can't handle you as a client, Rocky is thorough. And she will totally link you to another business owner who can do what she does. It might not be as dope, but like, she's not going to just have you fall by the wayside. Like, there are people here. There are folks who will work with you locally. There are folks who will work with you wherever you are in the country because they're remote, who will help you kind of craft that image. There are people who will help you with media training, because even though everybody has a phone and everybody can be famous, media training matters so that you don't have to walk back statements that can be a little embarrassing or cringy.
Exactly. And so, I get this one a lot too, and we'll walk you through this. It's cultivating authentic relationships. And so if you are questioning whether you should participate in this course or not, or if this is for you. And so again, I said this is for female identified empathic business owners. Look around you. Just like take a quick scan of your Facebook friends. Mm-hmm. And if they mostly look like you, then there's an opportunity for you to do more outreach. And there's an opportunity because, like, one of my clients, was a journalist phoned her and said, hey, I love what you do. She does intuitive eating. She was like, this is great. But my client said, well, you know what? I have someone else that I think you may want. She's an expert. She's a woman of color. I'd like for you to interview her. Look how easy that was.
Yeah. It's passing the baton. And what did she lose in doing that?
But had she not done her research ahead of time,
Right.
know who's playing in her orbit and sphere, would she had been able to do that? And then again, because doing the work is in your consciousness, the power has to be shared.
Mm-hmm.
It took nothing from her to say, hey, I want to offer this opportunity to someone else.
Right. Right. I love that. And that's something I try to do too. Cause I don't know. I feel like I need a new way to brand myself. I want the plug. Cause I just want to, plug folks into each other. Like that's all it
You want
takes
to
to
be
just
a
working with somebody.
convener.
No, dear, that's you. But no one else is a convener of souls. That is you. And I would never take that from you. But I can connect people to the convener, yes.
Well, bridges. We can all be bridges, tributaries, ones who, support one another. And I think that there's just, again, something super important when we think about sisterhood as a whole. Sisterhood requires you to be sisterly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's not all kindness and it's not all fun. Sometimes it hurts.
Sometimes it does,
but that's where intention matters, right?
Yeah.
Like if someone's being constructive with you, like just the other night, I passed something that I was writing on to be edited, and the edits came back, and I was like, "Well, I was trying to say that." Very defensive, very me, But those edits were worthy. And they were necessary, and they made my overall piece stronger and better. And then I had to eat my humble pie and say, hey, I was a little rare, my bad, but thank you for helping because you made me better. So I think that recognizing that too, it might not always be pretty, but on the other side, you get some goods.
Nonsense, and that's what I'm saying. So doing this kind of work, yes, it's going to require some heavy lifting, and it is going to require some emotional labor. However, coming on the other side of the 12-week program, because Ellen will be one of your guest lecturers. Yes. Guest
Air
coach. We will. I love it. You'll have the opportunity to really craft a strong mission statement so that when people come by your website or your media, they'll know exactly who you are, where you stand, and what you stand for, and that your images for your outward facing communications are full of that compassion that is so needed and necessary. And that's why each of these coaches that are coming into this program, Ellen, I'm so grateful to all of you, is that we're talking about the mental health and wellness space with Dr. Lauren, PhD candidate, where she even talked about the whole system and from a historic space and how it adversely affects Black women, and even into the DNA for all my energy workers. You're working with the energy that the egg carries, the trauma, it carries all of the unfortunately sometimes the baggage from the generation before, but this is an opportunity now to reshape the mitochondria as we move forward so that we can heal.
Love that. Yes.
So, and Dr. AJ is over here helping us with cultural appreciation so that we're not appropriating, and attribution is
it's a big part of that. It's okay to appreciate, folks. Just say where you got it from. That's all.
Where you got it from, and talk about, your teachers and making those references. So I think that it's super important that we, acknowledge that one, Kamala Harris is our VP elect.
Hey, now.
Okay. Black woman. Also Indian American woman. We must acknowledge all of her
Caribbean American.
all of the intersections in which she's in, but that doesn't negate that we still have forces in this country who are not satisfied and are not open to inclusion. In fact, suffering is probably the biggest industry. I mean, it's a moneymaker when we have division and suffering. I mean, look at our sick care system.
From pharmaceuticals on down. Yeah.
So I just
it's big business.
It's a big business to keep us separated. But I'm hoping that for those of you who have tuned in, thank you, Rocky, for hanging out with us this evening, and Paula and Meg, who've been through the course before. You understand that this isn't over. And the only way to really get through this thing is really through the feminine, because of everything that the feminine carries. We carry life. So we're not going to have a compassionate society without compassion. And that comes through us. And we're not going to have a wise society because wisdom comes through us. So people have to, but we have to be the ones that lead the charge and be the examples. So.
Well said.
Just saying. Thank you, friend. so with that in mind, Ellen, what are some final thoughts that you want to leave with everyone tonight?
Sign up for the course. And I'd say challenge yourself. Find a place where you think you're weak. Just one thing. And find ways to strengthen that through your own research. And then, see who else you got in your network, or maybe going beyond your network if you have to. I ask questions of everybody. I mean, the answer was no if you didn't ask anyway. So, there's a way to reach out to just about anybody. So I'd say find a weak spot if you can, because that's hard to do. That self-evaluation sucks. And if you can find a weak spot, see how you can shore that up.
That's right. And so speaking of that self-evaluation, in our course, we call it the shadow. In other instances, we may hear it as the fourth step. In AA, it's the critical moral inventory of oneself.
It's necessary. It's painful sometimes. And I used to say it was pointless, but apparently it actually leads to things. So yeah, take inventory. It's cool. It's cool to do. And I would also leave folks with the great crystal again. Words mean things. Be careful about what you say, how you say it, and to whom you've said it. All of that goes into context, and context matters so very much. But I do hope to see new faces or repeat faces. Like, I'm down for all the friends, because it's a whole pandemic, kids, and I don't see people outside of this. So
yes, so let's get in here and let's heal. And like I said, you're on this, please reshare this video. If you're hitting the replay, hit the replay. The course actually starts on December 7th, but go ahead and sign up so we can get acquainted. We have 3 easy and payment installments if you'd like to do it in installments, or you can go ahead and pay it in full. And what I'm offering is, if you pay it in full, you will get, or I'm sorry, even better, if you just sign up today, it doesn't even have to be in full today, but if you sign up today, you will get a 45-minute strategy session with yours truly to go in and deep dive and unpack your business, and even unpack your business, unpack you, so that you can be the representation and the change that you want to see in the world. And I don't mean that in that kind of cherubic rose-colored glasses. Like, no, change is not always comfortable, and sometimes it's painful, but I want to be there with you as you get the medicine out of it, so that we can have bigger allies. Because another part of this course is that you will be taking on social responsibility, and you'll take on an issue, and you'll see it through with an accountability partner, and you will see it through. So we're taking on things like abolishing ICE, and taking on the big things of what it means to defund the police. You'll be very well educated on the topics, have the support, and your business can be a catalyst for monumental change. So let's get it. So come on, let's get it. Ellen, thank you so much.
Of course. I'm so glad to see your face.
Yes.
I don't even know if I've seen you in 2020. I miss you.
I miss you too. I don't think you have. No, you haven't. Nope. Mm-hmm. So
down the whole Southfield Street. Can't even say hey.
I know. I know. So good people, take this video, repost it, reshare it, sign up for this course, bring a friend. If you're a coach, healer, consultant, you're working in the space where you are interfacing with people and you're helping people to become the best version of themselves, mindset coaches, all of it. Come on in, creatives, come on in, because no one person can do it. We have a big world to change, so we need you. So with that said, thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right, we will see you all on the other side, and thank everybody for tuning in.
Good night, everybody.